In order to use these rules, we're going to come over here to policies and rules. And you'll notice in this middle section, there are some subtypes of rules: offline freeze rules, location rules, action rules, and alert rules. So we'll just kind of go in order here. And the first one is offline freeze. So you'll come up here and click create rule. And it's this one called freeze if offline for too long. And you can see it has a description here that says device doesn't call in for more than 30 days, for example. But you can change this to whatever you want over the course of a school year. Maybe each campus has some spare devices, right? So maybe it's 180 days for your district. You would just change this here, call it something like offline over 180 days. You would say, okay, send me an email, or you can also send it to anybody in the console or outside of the console. If you have like a distribution list of it@myedu.org, for example, you would just hit enter after you type that. You can choose the freeze message that's going to go to that device. In this case, you can see the preview here. This one is called offline over 90 days. And you could just say something like, this device requires security updates. Please contact the help desk at this phone number to arrange an appointment. Whatever your help desk phone number is, or if you wanted to contact them by email or open a help desk ticket. So these are ones that are already here, but I will show you another place that you can make them. You can also say, I want to generate a random unfreeze code, or I can create one for every device. And then you would just type in iFreeze, or whatever you want to make your custom passcode. You can say we want to apply it to everything, or you can instead say I only want to apply it to specific policy groups. And then as those devices don't check in to absolute, if it's been more than 180 days, that device would freeze. As you know, if things haven't been patched or updated, and that would be a 6-month time frame, that's where those security holes come in. You can make the messages ahead of time by coming to settings, clicking messages, and then creating a message from here. There are slight differences between an end user message and a freeze message. For that automated device freeze, obviously it's going to be one of the freeze messages, and you would call it freeze over 180 days. Something like that. You do want to drop your logo in here just so it lends some legitimacy to the fact that it's coming from you and they don't think they're clicking on something weird. Or you could even insert a picture here. There we go. And it would insert that image. You can also put it under that and you can center it, but maybe we want to make the letters red. So you can do whatever you want here. You can make it bold, you can underline, you can make them extra large, and you could even change the font if you wanted to. Also here under rules, the next type would be the unexpected location change. Now this is kind of an older one where we're only alerting on a location change. So you probably want to do the newer one where you could trigger an action based on a location change. So let's say devices left US, and then you could say device location is outside the United States. So these rules here, the include IP locations, is if you want to include that IP location, but you can see here it tells you that's less accurate, but sometimes it'll give you the general area. So sometimes maybe for a device that left the US, maybe you do want to use the IP location. You can check that if you want to. And you can always click this learn more if you want to know more about IP location data. You also have the option to include offline locations. By default, that's not going to trigger the rule. So this is something like your staff had vacation in Mexico and took their laptop with them, but then they didn't connect to the internet. So while they're in Mexico, if they're in an Airbnb or a hotel that has Wi-Fi, we're actually going to see that Wi-Fi triangulation information and show that it was in Mexico. So when they get back to the United States and do connect to the internet, then it would say, oh, hey, this device was in Mexico. If you check this, then it would freeze that as well, even though by that time they're back in the US. So usually you don't want to mess with that, so you would just leave that unchecked. You can also set a cooldown period. So maybe you only want to be notified once per day. If you're not doing a freeze, maybe you just want to be emailed. And then some of the people in your organization may not have permissions to see where this device is on a map. Get a small map on the email notification for this device to say, hey, it's in Mexico, or maybe it's in Russia and you want to instantly freeze it. So add an action freeze. Then again, you would put your freeze message in and you could choose from the ones that are already created or create a new one. You can also just send them a message and say, excuse me, why are you outside of the United States? So you can see this device has exited this geofence and is in violation of our security policy. This would give them, I'm traveling for work, I'm traveling for vacation with my device. The device did not exit the geofence. I'll call you within 24 hours. We're not going to send them a message, but those are some choices you can have. And then you could say, I want all active devices, or I want to not include my staff devices. You could save this if you wanted to use it later, or you can save and activate if you wanted to use it now. The next type of rule is the alert rule. There's several more events in this. For example, make a rule if the application called ClassLink is uninstalled, then we want to send an email. That way they would get those notifications if somebody had uninstalled something that you require, especially if it's before testing. So finally, you can come over here and look at the action rule. You can see how many devices have triggered this in the last however many days or a year, whatever. And you can look at those devices and look by the rules. So in this case, this is a geofence. So this is outside Reykjavik. So it'll show, it says last known location, but really it's the last known geofence. So outside of geofences for rules and actions and the offline device freeze, you can also do automated policy group changes. Again, the action rule. So maybe you have different policy groups for your Chromebooks, right? So you can set up one of the rules to say if the OS platform type is Chrome, then I want to change the policy group to the Chrome policy group and add that. And then you would save and activate. And that way, anything that comes in that's Chrome will automatically go to that one. Or you can do make and model. So if you wanted all your collegiate students, sometimes they have specific applications on there. Maybe they have a few more permissions open than others. Then you can automatically move those to the policy group that has those set up. That is it. Do you guys have any questions? If any questions pop up, feel free to shoot us a note at csmk12@absolute.com. Y'all have a great day.